Sharon H here. In today's video I'm talking about reasons why some people won't apologise. Just remember, this video is coming from my own perspective and viewpoint. Take what advice you want and let the rest slide right off of you like Teflon. Okay, so we've most likely all felt the bewilderment, the frustration of people that just won't apologise. And it can be mind-numbing, exasperatingly baffling as to why the not. I mean, when you are clearly in the wrong, you have to know it, right? I mean, I know when I am, and I sure as hell know when I am not too. But are some people simply just not emotionally mature enough to realise when it is in fact they that owe the apology are in the wrong? Or are they stubborn mules who need to give themselves a kung fu pow uppercut? And what about the people that owe you an apology but give you the cold treatment or gaslight you into feeling that you should be apologising to them? And if you're anything like me, who's been unfairly guilted into apologising just to keep the peace, then give yourself an uppercut too. I know I sure as hell have needed a good few. It may come down to something as simple as you politely challenging someone over a non-important error. But heaven forbid you politely point out that error. Rather than a simple "I'm sorry" or "I didn't realise," you get stonewalled. And then you find yourself apologising to them when you've done absolutely nothing wrong but speak up. Something that could have blown over in 2 seconds, but their gaslighting behaviour speaks volumes. When you know you don't deserve the silent treatment or anger, then you've learned a thing or two about some people's fragile egos and their inability to take anything but praise. Moral to the story: if you were made to feel abhorrent for even rightfully questioning someone when it involved you, your money, your position on the matter, it's nothing more than gaslighting behaviour. Dust yourself off and stop questioning yourself. Then there are others that go out of their way to poke the bear or hurt someone, and then when they get called on it, they play the victim. They don't say sorry, they twist it around. I mean, me. When someone is clearly the one that needs to apologise, what is it about them that can so readily refute guilt? Are they that psychologically inept that take responsibility for their actions is simply something that they cannot do? Sometimes some people refuse to apologise because they've been harbouring some justified or unjustified grudge for a while, and they feel very righteous in going out of their way to not apologise. Sometimes it stems from holding on to bitterness or anger. Other times it comes from deep-seated envy or jealousy too. They won't dare show what they perceive as weakness by admission of wrongdoing, because that will mean that the person of their envy or begrudgement is right. They may feel that to surrender or apologise puts them in a position of weakness. I don't know, but I think by not admitting fault, they're putting themselves in a position of weakness. One that can say sorry and mean it is the stronger without question. If they have a string of narcissistic traits and always have to present to the world as either the hero or the victim, then no way in hell will they quash that notion by apologising. Well, they're most likely too bloody holier than thou if this is the case too. Some people would rather take it to the grave than admit any fault when egos come into play. Some have low self-esteem and others have overinflated egos. They act all bravado and cool on the outside, but on the inside they don't have the strength to take any heat, and they shatter that illusion if the latter. Some people are foolishly stubborn too. They'd rather fall out with people than say the magical 2 words, "I'm sorry." They'd rather cut their own throat, so to speak, than lose what they deem as power. Sometimes these people have spent a lifetime feigning this persona, whether it be this tough, too cool for school image or the image of perfection, the goose that lays the golden egg. More times than not, it's about the repercussions of admitting they are at fault in any way. I'm a big believer that there's more repercussions that are going to smack us upside the head by not admitting when we've If you apologize for something minor and it's shunned, rejected, or ignored, then that says more about them than it'll ever say about you. I mean, do they get they're pulling this right? Because it's manipulative as hell. When someone stonewalls or ghosts me with that, even if in the moment I took the heat, later I'll think about it and I'll be like, nah, that and them. When someone is gaslighting and giving you the silent treatment, when you sure as don't deserve it, then you have to ask yourself how deserving they are. Just like the people that think you should support them or they'll completely ghost you. But it's okay for them to completely ignore anything and everything that's important to you. We really have to stop letting Muppets guilt trip us into thinking we are in the wrong, into thinking we must owe them the apology. I mean, I get that some apologies come with shame or embarrassment, but man, just rip off the band-aid, or some things just don't heal. It's much easier to move on with an apology than with an apology we never got. Being in the wrong sometimes, being the one that owes another an apology, does not make one a lesser person. But without the owed apology, there are those that will perceive us the lesser person. It's one thing to not even realize that you've done anything wrong because, well, none of us are perfect. We can't always know when we've offended or upset someone. But if they tell us and then we try to twist it back on them in an abusive manner, then that's messed up. And mark my words, the silent treatment as punishment is classified as abuse too. Giving someone they owe an apology to the silent treatment, I mean, come on, how lame is that for you? I'd rather own my stuff-ups and work on fixing any potential damage or fallouts, or move on and do better next time. But regardless of any do-good spiels that demand we let go and move on without an apology. I mean, who the f*** are they kidding, really? Unless you're a saint, which I ain't, then I'd not imagine anyone not carrying a silent grudge, even if it's minuscule, or at the very least, a lesser good impression of the person that can't say, I'm sorry. And there could also be some that have no conscience and aren't sorry. They have never been able to accept accountability for anything. They've always gaslit or lorded it over others to the point they think they're untouchable. Or they've always been enabled by others and now they think they're all that and a bag of chips. In this circumstance, you're better off without them than an apology, in my opinion. But beware the fake apologiser, they whose apology is nothing more than lip service. The people that will say sorry in the morning and will be straight back in the afternoon doing the same thing. An apology without change is just manipulation. I've felt the sting of that many times. We crave that apology so bad. To have the conflict, drama and unease mended, we want to believe it. This is how we fall into the cycle of abuse. By accepting fake apologies from people over and over again, even when we know nothing will change. But how we try to convince ourselves they'll change. Pull their heads in, realize what they've got to lose. Thing is, these kinds of people don't see us as a loss. The only loss to them would be the loss of ego if they surrendered to doing the right thing. Take a liar or a thief, for example. Now, as I've said a million times before, I'm not talking little white lies. I'm talking defamatory, hurtful, life-changing lies and or theft. These kinds of people, if they get let off with a simple I'm sorry, do you think they're really gonna change? I don't think so. Not likely. They're going to be rubbing their hands together as that rat cunning empowerment courses through their veins that we let them off with an apology once again. I mean, I don't know all the answers and sometimes there's no avoiding these people. We can't be rid of them. We at least need to wise up to them. Sometimes people genuinely don't think they've done anything wrong and sometimes maybe they haven't. Maybe at times it is we that have in fact read too much into a situation and perhaps taken something the wrong way. Or someone has told us mistruths and we've been gullible and believed it. Maybe we've had a bad day and are sensitive and overreactive. This is where we sometimes have to do a bit of self-reflection and look at the bigger picture. Look at it all with a clear mind and reason. Because sometimes we may be being unwittingly stubborn when we in fact owe the apology. Sometimes they have taken something we've said out of context, or taken the tone of a text or a private message wrong, and they believe we are in the wrong. I don't know, but in this situation, rather than blowing a gasket or everything out of proportion, we all need to analyze the situation calmly without being reactive. There will certainly be times we are all owed an apology, but whether we can forgive and go on without it is something only we can decide. But when someone can go through life thinking it's okay to hurt others without repercussions, we have to ask ourselves, what difference an apology will actually make? Forgive them, forget them, them off. But one thing I do know, where justified, there is definitely more merit in admission of wrongdoing than thinking we are too important to own up to and apologize for our own mistake. Thank you for being here. Stay awesome. Now go get what's yours.